Hey, Warrior Saints, happy Friday. Father Chris here. Welcome to our Crucifixional live stream. Glad to have you lovely people with us today. We've been talking about Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith's wedding, marriage, all week. Now, let's talk about what is marriage anyways. What is a real marriage? I'm not disparaging them and their marriage. It's weird. Well, I am disparaging it because it's totally chaos what they're doing in an open marriage. So if that's wrong, what is a real marriage? A God-centered, Christ-like, Christian warrior saints marriage like? And I think it begins with, we've been talking about this verse from Hebrews chapter 13. Let marriage be held in honor by all, right? So marriage is something of value. It's not just a convenient relationship that we zip in and out of or sign prenups to, protect ourselves because we already know it's going to fail. That's not what marriage is. Marriage should be held in honor. It's something that matters. It is something important. It is something that it should be unique within each one of them, and it is something that's it's powerful, for heaven's sakes. It's hard, it's difficult, it's a lot of work, there's a lot of joy, a lot of beauty, but most importantly, marriage is that which elevates two people from being good, and when they come together, the possibility to be great, right? Marriage should be held in honor. And we hear right from the beginning of Scripture, chapter 2 of Genesis, we should say, where God says, for this reason, he's talking about marriage, shall a man leave his father and mother, and he shall be joined to his wife, and the two shall be one flesh, right? Now that doesn't mean that when a man and a woman get married that they lose their sense of individuality and they become this, unit of we think together and do all the, that's not what it means, right? There are still, I'm still, believe me, my wife and I are married happily for many years, still very different. We're still very separate in many regards. I think differently. Like, you don't lose your identity, but it means in that one fleshness that all of a sudden, that which were two very distinctly different and I won't say contradictory, I'll say complementary halves come together to form a more perfect whole, right? So let me say that again. I thought that was pretty cool. I was proud of myself for that. That was pretty good. They're two very distinct and complementary halves that come together with Christ in the center to form a much better whole, right? And that's the truth. I am maybe a good man, but I got a shot at great because of my wife, right? And I'd like to think that as amazing as she is and as wonderful as she is, her union together with me also helps elevate her to her highest potential, right? Marriage is to be held in the greatest of honors. And so, again, we come back and we circle back to that question. What is marriage? Or what do you do in marriage? A marriage is a union between a man and a woman who come together through Christ and are married, right? That's what a marriage is. So how do we do marriage? Oh, I don't know. How about crucifixionally, right? In all things as warrior saints, we are to live our lives by the cross, sacrificing myself for the sake of other, right? I have to sacrifice my desires, my wills, my needs, and set them aside. I have desires that I want to fulfill and needs that I need to fulfill, but I set them aside so that I can do my spouse's will, needs, and desires first. Do you understand? Remember, as Jesus sacrificed his own will in the Garden of Gethsemane to do God's will so that he might save all of mankind, we are called to imitate that and to sacrifice our will to do God's will, which is to love other. And who's the first other? Your wife or your husband, right? That's the whole message. So to do marriage right is to do it crucifixionally. That's not easy. I know it's not easy, right? I have the best marriage ever. I'm just bragging because it's awesome and I'm thankful. But we work, man. It ain't easy. It's not always easy. There's a lot of things that happen in life, and I know in your lives as well, there are a lot of things that happen. But over the years, we have learned, my bride and I and our Warrior Saints team, we've learned that to live crucifixionally inside marriage takes a lot of work, and sometimes people need a little guidance, a little help. And there's no shame in that. I mean, who knows everything? Certainly not I, right? So we need a little help, a little guidance to make our marriage that much sweeter, that much spicier, that much more on fire, that much more beautiful, and that much more loving. And at the Warrior Saints movement, we are doing that very thing. Coming up in the future, and hopefully the very near future, we are going to produce for our Way of the Warrior Saints library a new series on marriage and how to do it well. How to be married well, how to do husbanding well, and how to do wifing well. We're going to talk about things like, most importantly, communication. That's a key, right? We're going to talk about fighting and how to fight well and how to forgive and how to make up. We're going to talk about children, as we bring them together in this world, how do we raise them? What's the value system that we have together? What do we tolerate? How do we deal with mother-in-laws or father-in-laws and the way they treat our spouse? I mean, it's going to be a fabulous series. It's going to be so, did I miss? I'm sure I did. Anything else?
Flexibility.
Flexibility, yes, of course. Like, oh, thank you. Greg threw that out there. I knew I was missing one. I mean, how powerful is that? Because life changes, right? Like that, especially when you got kids, everything changes fast. How are you flexible? Are you so rigid? I mean, all of these things we're going to address in a new series coming up very shortly called Marriage that you will find at warriorsaints.org. So I need you to go there right now. There's the website. And subscribe. So let me tell you, when you get there, you're going to see three things. The first, you can buy our book. Love it. It's the same name, The Way of the Warrior Saint. Good stuff. You can get your copy there. Number two, there's a series called Becoming Men, which is to help our young fellas, 13 to 19, the teenagers, go from male to man. But the big one, the most important one, is called The Way of the Warrior Saint. It is our library. It's where all of our real hardcore teachings are. All you have to do is subscribe. Just click it. It's $8, dude. Come on. You are worth it. Your marriage is worth it. Visit warriorsaints.org. Subscribe to The Way of the Warrior Saint. You have unlimited access to all of the teachings in the library. There's hundreds of them in there. And hopefully, by God's grace and living your life through the cross, you might find that movement from good to great. Have a great weekend. Love you, beautiful people. Till next week, as always, keep walking on the way of the Warrior Saint.